the Software Process and Measurement Cast number 735. I'm Tom Cagley, your host. SPaMCAST 735 is being released on Christmas Day 2022 in the United States in the midst of a significant cold snap. I hope everyone is staying warm if you're in the midst of interesting storm. Over the years, we've explored a wide range of books on Reread Saturdays. Sometimes our rereads reflect the real world outside of software development. For example, in 2018, we reread Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou, the story of Theranos and Elizabeth Ann Holmes. This year, Ms. Holmes went to prison. While I don't expect prison sentences for the subjects in the books we read in 2022, I expect knowledge in the books we tackled to have a broader impact on the world. In the past year, we've reread 3.4 books, 40% progress on the current book according to Kindle. Links to all of the reread entries can be found in the show notes. This year's roster of books began on January 1st, actually, with the first installment of Agile Conversations by Douglas Squirrel and Jeffrey Frederick. The book reinforces that people are the core of knowledge work. Knowing how to have the right conversations is more than just a good idea. It's a path to delivering value. The second book of 2022 that we reread was one of my all-time favorites, Why Limit WIP? We Are Drowning in Work by Jim Benson. Over my career in helping teams and organizations change, it became clear to me that control of work entry is a huge determinant of whether anything other than change at a glacial pace could take root. Work entry and WIP are intertwined. I'm on a crusade to fix work entry. Why Limit WIP provides ammunition for that battle. The third book began our coaching arc with the classic Coaching Agile Teams by Liz Atkins. The book is a tale of two themes. The first is a book of philosophy, and the second is a how-to book full of techniques. The full value of this book requires two readings. The first time I read the book, I took the how-to path. This time, the philosophies of Agile coaching were more important to me than any individual technique. If you are or are ever going to be a coach, this should be the first book you read. We closed 2022 in the middle of rereading Extraordinary Badass Agile Coaching. You didn't think I was going to take a break saying that name, did you? Bob Galen and his co-authors have crafted a book that is destined to be a classic in the Agile coaching profession. The book establishes a model defining not only what an Agile coach is, but a path for growth. I'm looking forward to reading and learning with all of you in 2023. In this week's installment of the podcast, we also have a visit from Susan Parente and her Not A Scrumdamentalist column. Susan and I discuss how a newly minted Scrum Master can get up to speed quickly. Susan Parente, welcome to the Software Process and Measurement Cast.
Hi, Tom. It's great to see you here, hear you for everybody else. Great to be here. What do you got for me today, Tom? There's always something exciting nowadays.
Hey, I got another letter. I know we've been doing letters recently. I love really getting letters because it really tells us about what's going on in the real world. Dear SPaMCAST, I'm a new Scrum Master. I was a help desk associate last week before I took my certification test. I was assigned to be the Scrum Master on a team. Where should I start? And they signed that dazed and confused.
Yes, dazed and confused would actually make a lot of sense. So first of all, congratulations. That is quite the shift from help desk associate to Scrum Master. I would say that this is an excellent investment for you as a professional. an excellent opportunity. And so I hear you have a Scrum Master certification. That's great. I wouldn't just stop at that. I would get more education. I would self-educate. I'm going to refer you to some really great sites. Unfortunately, one of them is not me, but that's okay. And then you can actually believe the value of it because I'm not referring you to myself. One is Mike Cohen's Mountain Goat Software. It's an excellent one. Tom's shaking his head because he knows it too.
He's one of my heroes.
Yeah, he's really awesome. He has a lot of great content. You can also go look for him on YouTube. So you can just type in Mike Cohen or Mountain Goat Software on YouTube, and you can actually subscribe to the channel, which is great. So definitely he has lots of tips and tricks, lots of help for everything Scrum. What are other resources I recommend? Scrum Alliance is a good one. Scrum.org, that's Ken Schwaber's company. Scrum.inc is Jeff Sutherland's company. The Scrum Guide, I'm assuming you've read it, but if you haven't, I would read it. And then when you're done, I would start over and read it again. And I would do that at least 3 times. And it's been probably a few years since I read it. So I'm actually going to pick it up again and read it soon because it is one of those things. You tend to slip away from the basics and the foundations because you start seeing and hearing what other people do, and you want to kind of come back to what is Scrum. How your organization is doing Scrum is probably not exactly match the Scrum Guide. So that's a recommendation. If you're working in an organization where they're doing any sort of scaled Agile, you might want to look at a scaled certification. I actually recently did SAFe training, which I thought was very good. I happen to be more of a fan of SAFe than Discipline Agile. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that.
I'm an SPC 5, so.
I like how SAFe structured things without making things too complicated. I don't like anything in Agile to be too complicated because we're supposed to be focused on simplicity and being lean. So if we create a methodology that is the opposite of that, then that doesn't quite make sense to me. So I think we should keep with that. The other things you could do, you can look at getting a product owner certification. Even though you're not a product owner, it's good to understand that role really well because what's likely to happen, Dazed and Confused, is that you will end up with a product owner who doesn't know how to be a product owner. That's very common. And one of the jobs of the Scrum Master is to help the product owner be the product owner they should be. Because if we want your project to be successful, it's very important that you have a strong product owner. And without that, you will either start being the product owner, which is a really bad idea, or you will have a team who starts being a product owner, which is also a bad idea. So you need to have a good product owner. So getting the product owner certification, I think, would also be valuable. The other thing I would do, reach out to other Scrum Masters. You can do this on LinkedIn. There's some groups you can join. You might want to look inside your organization to see if there are other Scrum Masters. No need to reinvent the wheel. Reach out to people. Hey, I'm new to this role. How do you do? Maybe you can create like a center of excellence or a center of practice within your organization. You can maybe get people together to share what they know about Scrum and being a Scrum Master. And, to have a center of practice or a center of excellence, you do not need to have that excellence. You just need to get everybody together, right? And listen to them and share with them. And so I think a lot of times it's like, oh, I would love to have one of those, but I don't know enough to do that. No, it's not about you knowing enough. It's about you getting 5 people in a room together for half an hour at lunch once a week.
And then learning so that you can get to the part where you actually do know it.
Yep. So in one of the organizations I support, I just went to the first COP Agile meeting, and it was kind of like a Q&A kind of thing. And after the meeting, I called up one of the Scrum Masters, and I was like, we could take this meeting to the max. We could really do some great stuff here. So I was starting to think, hey, every week somebody on the team could present on something that they feel they're very confident in, because it was clear that people have different background, different knowledge. And even though I have the most certifications of anyone on the team, that doesn't mean I know more than them. Somebody knows something in an area that I don't know as much about. And so I think that would be kind of neat, is you you kind of pass the baton around and say, okay, what is it you think you're really good at? And why don't you, for half an hour, share what you're doing and some strategies you have. I was looking for some interesting retrospectives to do and how to do a retrospective. And I got one from one of the safe trainers that I know, and it's the hot air balloon. Mm-hmm. So what is your hot air that brings you up, your sandbags that pull you down, and then your sun that's driving you to the future, right? And so I did a cute little visual on like a PowerPoint slide, and we did our retrospective that way. And then about like a day later, I asked the team, I was like, so did you like this, or you want to do something different? Like, what do you think? And they're like, oh yeah, we liked it. And but yeah, we'll do different stuff too. And I'm like, oh great, I got to come up with new stuff too. But it was kind of cute. It was for a federal client, so I went and found a picture of a hot air balloon that had like an American flag on it. So I think it was a little patriotic, but things like that. We're not all like immensely creative. I am not personally creative. I'm better at execution. So, and being more innovative, so I can take a creative idea and apply it in an innovative way. But me to create something from blank, I'm not good at. And that's why I suggest people like Mountain Goat Software, Mike Cohen. You can also just do a search. I did a Google search the other day on icebreakers, team icebreakers. And one of the ones came up is, how do you like your coffee? And it was great because we maybe only had 2 minutes at the end of our stand-up. And I just asked everybody, it's a virtual meeting, type in the chat, how do you like your coffee? And that way, if you had to get off the meeting, you could still type in the chat later. So we use Teams, so you could type in the chat later. And so people were, somebody was like, latte, da-da-da, with da-da-da. And I was like, wow, it was like a very complicated drink. And then somebody else was like black, so it was kind of funny. It was funny to listen to that. This week we were doing dog pictures because a lot of us have dogs. And yesterday we did cats. And today is going to be other pets, including pet rocks, Snoopy, or whatever, if it's some cartoon dog you like. So we're basically like sharing photos. So I figured the third day would get everybody in that doesn't have a pet for any other reason. So I've been trying to think about, should I try to take a picture of a pet rock or something like that I should put on there. So
wasn't that copyrighted or trademarked? I think if you called it a pet rock, you'd be in trouble.
That's right. A chia pet. How about a chia pet? That's also copyrighted.
Probably.
You know what I might do? I'm looking over at my Minion sitting on my shelf over here. That's what I'll do. I'll take a picture of my Minion and I'll post that. So
I think there's a new movie coming out.
Yes. It's I forgot what it's called. It's the origins of Gru, but that's not the title. But yeah, that little Gru is in the movie. I'm excited to watch that. I think it comes out Thursday.
Susan, where do you come down? I mean, part of what I heard in this question is a Scrum Master that was an individual performer, help desk associate, now is a Scrum Master on a team that's doing work. They may or may not understand technically what that team's doing or even what they are doing process-wise. How can they adapt? And was that a good idea of the organization, just to throw this person into the deep end of the pool and say, swim?
I don't think so. I don't think that was a good idea of the organization, but I do think it's a great opportunity for the person. This Scrum Master experience is going to propel them in their career. I think it's a great thing. I think that the most important thing about Scrum Master is servant leadership. So dazed and confused listener, one of the places to go is greenleaf.org. It's all about servant leadership. Robert Greenleaf is the person at least who coined the phrase servant leader. So I recommend that. The thing is, like Tom said, you don't need to know everything about what the developers are doing. You just need to know and understand the structure of Scrum and support that and support your team. Fundamentally, servant leadership to me is I ask my team members, how can I help you be successful so that we as a team can be successful and deliver value to our customer? I am serving my team. I am helping my team be successful. I'm removing barriers. I'm removing impediments. I'm doing all of those things to get stuff out of their way and protect them so that they can have an environment that they can get their work done in. And that's, think of a coach on a team. You're a coach of a soccer team. You're not out there kicking the ball. You could probably coach a soccer team without even knowing a lot about soccer. I know that seems crazy, but if you can just know how to support your team will tell you what they need. Hey coach, we get really thirsty when we're out there kicking the soccer ball around. Okay, great. I'm going to go get us some Gatorade. I'm going to go get us some water. Knowing when to pull the team off the field for a break, even if you didn't know what to say, you could say, hey, it looked like you guys needed a break. Okay, what do you got? Let's talk. Go to your team leads, reach to your team lead if you have one. You probably shouldn't have one, as we've been talking about before, but who are your strong team members? Who are the people who've been around for a while? Reach out to them. Maybe even have a one-on-one conversation with them. Because if there's a strong person, team member, they will know what the team needs. That doesn't mean that they're able to deliver it because they have their own responsibilities as a team member. I also find I get a lot more out of one-on-one conversations with my team members than I do in the group. One of the reasons for that, I tend to work with software developers, which tend to be introverted. Introverted people, it's not that they don't talk, they just usually don't talk when they're all there together. Okay, so they're one-on-one, they will talk to you. So reach out to some people, maybe even make an effort to take a week and have a 30-minute conversation with each person on a team one-on-one and ask them what they see, what they think would be valuable for the team, and then pull that all together. And I would not be surprised if at the end of spending a half an hour with each team member, you have a very clear picture of what your team needs. And if you ask that question with 5 people in a room together, you're going to hear crickets. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think people are more compelled to talk if it is one-on-one. It's easier to be anonymous. And as someone who has been accused of wanting to lurk in the background, I understand that. I do think, though, that Scrum Masters tend to do a better job with some degree of technical acumen, so that they can at least not understand, but at least have some degree of empathy with people about what they're actually doing and going through. And that it's, in reality, whether you're creating, doing development or maintaining something or correcting a defect, that stuff is not, in most cases, that stuff isn't easy. It's hard.
Yep, I agree. So, for example, with myself, a few decades ago, I was a software developer.
Oh, come on. Can't be a few decades ago.
It was a few decades
Probably
ago.
last week, but okay.
Yeah. So I do find when I start working with a team, I will share that with them. And if nothing else, I get a little like street cred.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what software developers do not want is somebody who went to some fancy management school and got an MBA telling them what to do. So telling them, hey, I used to do software development, so I totally get it. And it's about what works for you so that you can be productive and you can be successful. We can be successful and deliver value to our customer. And so just coming from that perspective is very, very helpful. Now, if you don't have that experience of being a software developer, I would put some significant effort into understanding their perspective. So that is also something you get out of those one-on-one meetings. Also try to understand the product. A lot of times, developers are kind of like in the weeds, maybe doing something on a database and we're re-indexing this or whatever. So one of the things that I usually ask when I start in a Scrum Master role is, hey, can I see our end product? Can somebody give me a demo of the end product? Okay. Yeah. You may not often see that. Even in a sprint review, you may not see the end product. You might see code get run where there's like inputs and outputs and not even see the end product because they're working on the minutia. User stories are very small compared to an actual feature that a user experiences. So I did that. I got a little demo of the product for this recent project I'm working on. And it was very cool because I was like, this is a neat product. I totally get it. And even if you can just get that perspective that here's a neat product, I understand why it's valuable to the users. That's the inspiration. That's the vision behind the work that you're doing. There's a lot between like the database call and the end product, but
Absolutely.
At least you can start to appreciate it and come from that perspective.
Susan, how would people continue the conversation?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn, Susan Parente, Parente, or you can send me an email. Email me at Parente at S as in Sam, the number 3-tec.com. I would love to talk to you about anything Agile, Scrum, or any other method. Or if you're using traditional and thinking about going to Agile, or if you're interested in a certification, I can share with you my experience and which certification might be right for you. And by the way, I don't have a canned answer for that. That is a conversation.
Absolutely. There are very few canned answers in the world. Susan, until next time, have a marvelous rest of your day. And thank you for sharing and educating me and the SPaMCAST listeners.
Thank you, Tom. Always a pleasure. Look forward to hearing from your listeners. And yeah, keep sending those messages to SPaMCAST. These are great. These are really great.
In the next software process and measurement cast, which will go live on December 31st, New Year's Eve. Every year, I host a panel discussion with the columnists and other SPaMCAST contributors. We cap 2022 with a spirited discussion on the importance of engagement. Is it all that it's cracked up to be? Or maybe not? If process improvement is a never-ending journey, why do so many people ask, are we there yet?